Alright, so let's get started. Tonight I'm going to show you how to change a skin for your fantasy grounds. Basically the look of it. Show you a couple tricks how to do that. So as you can see right now, it's fantasy grounds, the core RPG rule set. And by default it looks like this, so you might want to change it. There are already a few different themes available with this one. Let's check it out. So I've got custom skin tutorial here, and a bunch of extensions down here. All right, just a second. So not all of them change the look fantasy grounds, but you got two here: the theme dungeon, theme wood. So let's look at the dungeon one. Loading. So that changed how it looks. So you want to be able to do that. You want to use that. That's one way to do it. This background is seamless, meaning that I could stretch it, reduce it, and it would still look seamless. Now you might want instead to just have a wallpaper type of background. In that case, if you look at the showcase, or you go to fg-con.com, in the download section, free downloads, you'll see a bunch of themes that were made by Dan. So Damien, the FG-Con guy, made all these. So let's just grab one. You can grab the horde at the bottom. Okay. Now once you've downloaded that one, you need to put it in your extensions folder. That will be located in your @data folder. If you don't know where that's at, from the splash page on top here, you've got the open data folder, so you can click on that. You can make yourself a shortcut for your desktop if you want. And then you have a bunch of folders. Your campaigns are in there, documents, rule sets, modules, portraits, and all that stuff. So you need the extensions folder, and then we just put that extension in there. Okay. So the horde. Now we're going to restart fantasy grounds. Here it is. And then we'll look at themes again. And then here it is, the horde. Start. There you go. You got a wallpaper in there. Then there's the decal, of course, that you can turn off in your options over here. Off. It's what it looks like this. So now we're going to look under the hood. That extension. So you're going to have to open it. You'll need a WinZip, WinRAR, or whatever you use. I use 7-zip, whatever you got that works. So this is what an extension looks like under the hood. It's pretty much a zip file with a different extension. You've got this file here that you can open up with a notepad, or in this case Notepad++, and that's what you'll find in there. The name, the description, and the rule sets that you can use them with. They're all named. This one actually should be named like this for it to work. So for any of these rule sets, that extension, that theme will work. So we've got that file. We don't really need, well, yeah, let's mess with it a little bit. The name, we'll name it, well, let's make a copy first. How about that? So that way we're not going to mess with this one. So we'll go in the folder, make a copy, Control-C, Control-V. Now we've got the second one. And we're going to name it tutorial. Okay. I'm going to open that one back up. Go under extension. Name it tutorial, but you can name it whatever you want. It's just so that you can find it in the list when it loads up. Okay. Save it. Now we can close it out. It's asking you, do you want to update it? Yes. Now you don't need to extract it. You can just drop what you need in there and change what you need. After that, you've got the graphics folder. And now the frames and sidebar. Well, the frames will be the chat over here, and the background. It can be grouped differently depending on the extension, but in this case it's grouped that way. And then the sidebar, that's these icons over here. That's where your story, and characters, story, images, and whatnot. So in this case, if you want to change a background, you'll find it under frames. Now let's open this up. It would be this one here, the horde. Sometimes it will be called desktop or desktop background. All depends. Alright, so that's the image that's used for this background here. And the size of it, that's important. 2048 by 1080. That would most likely be Damien's screen resolution. So if yours is different, should change it, or it mainly depends on the image you're working with. So for tonight, I thought I'd make it kind of Game of Thrones theme. So I went and looked for a nice image. By the way, okay, so that's the image over here. So I went and got this image instead. All right, pretty cool wallpaper. But now if I look at the size of that image, it's a bit different. It's 1920 by 1080. I'll show you why that's important. Let's check it out. There's an XML file over here called graphics frames. This is all the coordinates and information on what is used. Basically, the extension will tell the rule set you're using. Instead of the images in your rule set, I want you to use these. Okay, so there's the desktop background over here. It's that information. Yeah, Damien just mentioned that the largest size, biggest image supported for Fantasy Grounds is 2048. Okay. So that's why you used that size. Alright. Now, so you've got the list of all the graphics that it will use instead of the default ones. So it's using a new desktop, a new chat box over here, chat window, new hotkey bar, and a new dice tower. So if we want to change the image, could change the name of that image. First, I'm going to drop it inside this extension here. All right. So that image, yes, update. All right. So that one is named that's the name of it. So that's important because that's what it's going to call it. So I'm going to change the name over here to the name we got for that image. And also, important, it's a PNG instead of JPEG. I mean, JPEG's probably better, but right now the image is PNG. It will just take more space and the quality won't really change for that type of image. For the other ones with transparency, you want to use PNG. Okay. And now the frame of it, I want to put this at 1920 by 1080 because that's what that image size is. So I'll save it. This down, update. Yes. Now let's go look at Fantasy Grounds. Okay, load it. We called it tutorial, right? So I'm going to switch. We're not going to use the Horde theme. We're going to use the tutorial. We'll start it up. Hopefully it works. Oops, it didn't save up. Didn't work right. Let's look at what's what went wrong. It's not in the correct folder. See, it should be in the frames folder over here. Oops. Let's give it some time. You can see when I look at the frames file here, it's calling for graphics, frames, and then this file. So I did not put it in the correct folder. So it's looking for that image in the frames folder, but it's not there because I didn't put it in the right spot. So let's put it in the right spot. Let's put it over here instead. Okay, now it's in there. Fantasy Grounds. Now something you can do when you're doing a lot of reloading and whatnot, you just type /reload. You can put it in your hotkey. You click on it, it's going to reload it instead of having to go back, type that line over again, and there we go. So it looked for the image I put in there, and it's using this image instead of the other one. So again, you just grab a new image, you look up your extension, you start with graphics. All right. So you look at the frames, and it's going to look for that image in graphics and frames, and then it's going to look for this name. So it needs to be named exactly the same way. And then I change the size of it to what the image size I've got. And then you close all that back up and restart it, and you've got it. So I mean, that looks pretty cool. The only difference is that if you're going to play over 2 monitors and you stretch that image out, it's going to look funny a little bit because it's going to try to do a tiling effect, which would look like this. All right. So that doesn't look good if someone stretches out their screen. Alright, so to fix that, you need, while you wouldn't be able to use the same image, what you need is a seamless pattern. Right, so instead of using the extension that Damien made for everybody on the site, fgcon.com, we're going to need to modify another one. We looked at the dungeon theme earlier, so I'll make a copy of this one. And we'll call it tutorial 2. Tutorial seamless. Let's look at that one. Let's close all that out. Alright, so this one looks a little bit different. There's less stuff in it from here anyway. But we'll look at the extension. Again, this one, name theme dungeon, we'll call it tutorial seamless. Again, it's calling for all these rule sets that it could work. If the rule set you're using is not part of this, then you just make a new line. You could do like this. It's actually 3 lines, but right. Copy and paste, and then you could put Savage Worlds. So now it will be visible when you use that rule set, and then it tells you it's going to include all these folders, these graphic folders for it. So I'm going to save it. It's open. In that case, I've got to save it to my desktop first. Or I can save it in here. Alright. So it's in this one, GOT. I'll find it. Extension, right here. So I'm going to put it in there. Update. Then the graphics. Okay, the frames. And we got the desktop, and the coordinates are a bit different. It's calling for a middle rectangle and the right rectangle. And I'll show you what that means. And it's using the desktop.png file. So I need to find that one in the frames. Desktop.png. Let's open it up. Alright, so this is what it looks like, the dungeon theme file. So it's two images really. You've got that square here, that's 512 by 512, and then you've got the right hand side, that's where your sidebar icons will be at. Okay. So I'm using Photoshop, but whatever you're using, I'm sure you can do something similar. You need to respect the dimensions. Alright, so I added a layer to it, and then I thought maybe that image would look good. You need to look for a seamless texture. You just Google it, seamless texture, and whatever comes up, that'll probably work. So I'm using this one right now. I thought it looked like the wall in the show. Alright, so I'm gonna add that image to it. I'm gonna move it, bang, right here. It's the same size, 512. Most seamless textures you'll find they're going to be that size, 512 or sometimes 1024. If you found a good one you like at 1024, just rescale it so it fits over here like this. All right. And then for this side, well, this wallpaper looked cool. I was going to grab this part over here. So I'm going to grab that square. Right. And then I'm going to add another layer, copy it, and I'm going to move it, dock it. Maybe something like this. It's a bit too white. So maybe this, and then gotta change the layer so it looks like that. Alright, so that's the name of it. And I'm going to save it. I'm gonna put it in my Game of Thrones. Save it to PNG. Alright. It's saved. So now this is what we've got, but I want this one instead. The new one we just made. Alright. That one. So I just grabbed it and dropped it in the extension. and now it changed that. Alright, now it still looks like this, so I need to go back to the splash page, load, custom skin. Now I gotta look for the one I made. Alright, tutorial seamless. Let's hope that works. There we go. So the wall pattern looks pretty good. You can see a bit of seams over here, but not too bad. The right hand side, yeah, it does look like a seam. Like the pattern on top here is repeated down here. So, but it still looks pretty decent. You'll have to experiment and, you know, art-wise what works and what not. I thought I'd just show you how to actually make it happen. The art direction of what you're doing, well, that's up to you. You know, it's a matter of taste and whatnot. So now if I stretch it out, it still looks like a wall through and through. All right, let's resize it back, and of course it's still using the rest of the graphics, right? Same theme. So the easy way to change all that is you look at all the files you've got. You've got a chat box, the token bags, and then for the icons, you've got all these icons that were changed. Mod collector, that's this box over here. Minimized image, that's when you do oops, not this. Minimize, that's that image here. So if you wanted to change that, that's the image you would use. And then for the lighting, that would be these images over here. You could change them. What else? The buttons. Okay. So let's say you want to change also the chat box, so you need to open it up, and that's what it looks like as an image. So you just respect the proportions, use the same size, then you put another image over here. These are a bit tricky because they'll stretch. So not everything's going to look good, and that's why most of the chat windows you see are some kind of stained paper or parchment and whatnot, because it's pretty plain and it just sizes the right way. One other thing that we've got going on now, it's the decal. So I mean, there are no images here. You might want something central. All right, so under options, you've got the decal. All right, now here's the SmiteWorks logo and off, so you only got one choice, but you can change those. Again, you go on FGCon, the free downloads, and you download the decal extension. All right, the custom decal, and it looks a lot like any other extensions, just a bit different. All right, you've got all these lines. I made these earlier. You can change them. So you need one line per image per different decal you want. So if you want to add one, well, you just copy and paste another line, you change the name right over here, and over here it has to match, and down here as well. So right now we've got color 1, SXG color, SXG kind of transparent, and one I made, Game of Thrones, and I put the image in there. So we're going to have to reload this and enable that extension. Alright, let's find it. SXG custom decal. Alright, we'll start it up again. Let's look at the options. Alright, so we got, again, Smite Works, SXG color, SXG transparent. Then I made a Game of Thrones one. It could be any image you want, but you have to respect the proportions. So basically, you just open it up, look under decals. These are all the images that it comes with. And you can just open one up. This one over here. All right, so that's the SmiteWorks one. And if okay, that's what it looks like. So it will take that much room, right? So you just put another image on top. Doesn't matter what. Could be something you found, or something you compose yourself. It could be a text, you know, whatever you want, and then you just put the image in here in the decals. Then under extension XML, you make sure that it's listed. Like over here, that'll be the custom for Game of Thrones. All right, and there's a line for it here, and a line for it there, and then it's gonna work. For the sidebar icons, then for this extension from Damien, he did not change them, so they don't appear in the list. But if you look at the dungeon one over here, or the tutorial that we made without the not the seamless one, but the other one, if I look under graphics, there are sidebar icons. So again, let's open one up. There. Oh, no. Okay, there it is. It's the other way around. It was the dungeon one that did not change it. Damien did change them. All right, so that's the size of it. And again, just put your own image here, and then you drop it in the folder over here. You can just replace it by naming it the same way, because that's the icon that would appear when someone clicks on images over here, images and map. Right. Now there's a little animation here, and what that is really, it's two images. You've got the image, well, images and images down. If I look at the graphics frames, so okay. No, it's not this one. It's going to be, they're the icons. Here we go. So you got the sidebar icons over here. So when you press on images, or in this case it's called maps by the system, all right, it's looking for this image, images PNG. And when you click down that's what it is, maps down. He made it that it was the same image for both, because if you want a different one, obviously it's going to be more work for you, but you would need a second one. So that's what you see here when you click. Well, before you click, that's one image, and when you click, it's another one. So basically, the design was to cast a shadow first, and then when you push down, the shadow disappears, making you feel like you're actually pushing down on it. So you can experiment with all kinds of animation if you want, or you can keep it simple as to where when you click on it, it doesn't change at all. It remains the same image. And that's fine too. That's the way you want it. Alright, let's bring it up again. Graphics icon. Alright, so you got the list of all of them here. So that's what you can change. Now, if you wanted to get more involved and change absolutely everything on there, then you would need to find all the lines for all the graphics. And these would be, instead of being in your extension folder, it would be in your rule set folder. So you need to open up Core RPG, and then you look at all the graphics. And as you can see, there are a lot more graphics. So you could change whatever you want. The radial menu, toolbar, the fonts, even the buttons. So you could change. Let's just grab one. Button roll down. Alright, so button roll down looks like this. That's for the tables, I think. That's the icon used for it. I'm zooming in right now because it's a very, very tiny icon. Alright, so if you want to change the look of that, again, you make another image, you add it to your extension, but you also, obviously, you'll also need to add the line for it. Right, so the line for buttons would probably be graphics icons, maybe. So again, you get all these lines of codes. And color, the lighting effects. So if you wanted to change the lighting icons, you would need to, copy this line and add it onto your extension. So I would need to go to the graphics icon over here, find another spot for it. I could just do this. This line, copy, and paste it. So now with that line on there, I need to put an image. If I don't, it's going to look for one. There's not going to be one in your extension folder, and then it's just going to come up blank. So, I hope that wasn't too confusing for you. I mean, you can go on for hours with this, and you can get really involved in it and change a lot of things. But I suggest you just start maybe with the background, mess with that, and then you can move on to the sidebars and get more and more involved. And the more time you have, the more things you can change, of course. Depending on the interest and whatnot, I might go more in depth and maybe share some tips on how to manipulate images, right? So, but you might already be a graphic designer or whatnot, and artist, so you can change whatever you want. So thank you, and hope that was helpful.